exhibited this mood in full separation. And as we know from Lord Krishna's pastimes himself, that mood of separation is the highest expression of ecstatic love for Krishna. Mother Saci, we'll see, she exhibited those ecstatic symptoms in full. Earlier in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, we see they have very ecstatic relations together. And we can look at a few short pastimes of Mother Saci with younger Nimai, and then before Lord Chaitanya took sannyas. So Saci Devi, as we know from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Saci Devi is the daughter of Nilambar Chakravarti. She was married to Jagannath Mishra, and after marriage, Jagannath Mishra and Saci Devi, they had 8 daughters. And all of those 8 daughters died very early after childbirth. And because of that, Jagannath Mishra and Saci Mata were very unhappy. What has happened to all of my children? You know, they've all passed away so early. And Chaitanya Charitamrita describes that in this unhappy situation, they with full focus, they worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We'll see this as a theme with Mother Saci, is regardless of the circumstance, whether she's in an unhappy circumstance or she's in a very blissful circumstance, all the circumstances do is increase her service to the Supreme Lord. Whether she's unhappy or she's happy, it just deepens her service. So at this point, they were quite unhappy, and they really focused on their worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And from their meditation, and as we'll see, they are, as we heard Lord Chaitanya explain, Saci Mata is his eternal mother. But before the birth of Lord Chaitanya, they gave birth to another very splendid son, and his name was Vishvarup. Now, at the birth of Vishvarup, they became very happy, very blissful. Vishvarup was stunning. He was very beautiful. He was very, as he started to grow, he was very scholarly. He was very devoted. He was just an ornament of all good qualities. And Chaitanya Charitamrita describes that Vishvarup, he is an expansion of Lord Baladev, a Sankarshan. And they were so pleased with Vishvarup that, as I mentioned before, when they're unhappy or when they're happy, their service just increased. So because of their pleasure, they were so happy, they really increased again their service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so their next son is Lord Chaitanya, Nimai. And I wanted to look at a few verses from Chaitanya Charitamrita about the conception of the Lord, because this is very extraordinary. We see Saci Mata and Jagannath Mishra's character, their quality in this pastime of the Lord's conception. Just as we hear about the conception of Lord Krishna with Vasudeva and Devaki, and how Krishna entered within the mind of Vasudeva and entered into the mind of Mother Devaki. In a very similar way, we see the entrance of Lord Chaitanya into his eternal mother. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it explains that Jagannath Mishra, he said to Saci Mata, "I see wonderful things. Your body is effulgent, and it appears as if the goddess of fortune were now personally staying in my home. Anywhere and everywhere I go, all people offer me respect. Even without my asking, they voluntarily give me riches, clothing, and paddy." Saci Mata told her husband, "I see wonderfully brilliant human beings appearing in outer space as if they're offering prayers." Jagannath Mishra then replied, "In a dream, I saw the effulgent abode of the Lord enter my heart. From my heart, it entered your heart. I therefore understand that a great personality will soon take birth. After this conversation, both husband and wife were very jubilant, and together they rendered service to their Shalagram Shila. Again, this mood of Mother Saci and Jagannath Mishra was that whatever circumstance, unhappy or happy, they simply deepened their service to the Lord. In a purport here, Srila Prabhupada, he quotes from his own spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who describes that Jagannath Mishra and Saci Mata are Nitya Siddhas, ever pure associates of the Lord. Their hearts are always uncontaminated, and therefore they never forget the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A common man in this material world has a contaminated heart. He must therefore first purify his heart to come to the transcendental position. But Jagannath Mishra and Saci Mata were not a common man and common woman with contaminated hearts. When the heart is uncontaminated, it is said to be in the existential position of Vasudeva. Vasudeva can beget Vasudeva or Krishna, who is transcendentally situated. It is to be understood that Saci Devi did not become pregnant as an ordinary woman becomes pregnant. And to think of it in that way is an offense. So we have this wonderful explanation of the position of Saci Devi. She is Nitya Siddha, an eternal associate of the Lord. She is always uncontaminated. And unlike us, who have to undergo this process of purification, that was unnecessary. She was ever pure, always pure and uncontaminated. And therefore, her heart was a wonderful sitting place for the Lord. And how the Lord entered into the heart of Jagannath Mishra, into Mother Sachi's heart, and then within her womb. So a very transcendental appearance, befitting the position and the glory of Saci Devi, how she could become the abode of the Lord. It's such a wonderful glimpse into her amazing personality. So there are many, many wonderful encounters between Saci Mata and baby Nimai, young Nimai, and there are too many to just pop through them all. So I've just chosen a few little things to discuss. And the first one was, I chose this one because it shows how from his even very early childhood, Lord Chaitanya was teaching. He was teaching us how to be devotees, as was his one of the purposes for Lord Chaitanya's appearance is actually to teach pure devotional service by displaying it himself. So baby Nimai, well, young child Nimai, he used his mother to teach us. So one day, little Nimai was enjoying playing with his friends, and Mother Sachi brought him a plate of food to eat, some rice, some sweets, and gave it to him and said, okay, now you eat now. And she went back to her household duties. And little Nimai, he went and hid from his mother. And instead of eating that nice plate of prasadam that she had given him, he started eating the dirt. And Mother Sachi, after a little while, Mother Sachi's noticed that he's out there eating dirt. And she went out to him and she said, what are you doing? Stop this. Don't eat the dirt. I gave you nice things to eat. And she started taking the dirt out of his hands. And of course, what do little children do when you take something away that they want? He started to cry. And he was saying to his mother, why are you taking this away from me? You have already given me dirt to eat. What is my fault in this? And he begins to speak Mayavad philosophy as a very small young child to his mother. And Nimai started to expound this philosophy that everything is the same. So he said to his mother, this rice, this food, it's just a transformation of dirt. So I may as well just eat the dirt. What is the difference? The body is a transformation of the dirt. Everything here is just a transformation of dirt. So why does it even matter what I eat? And Saci Devi, she was astonished. And Chaitanya Charitamrita says, Saci Devi said to him, who has taught you this philosophical speculation that justifies eating dirt? And she very firmly instructed Nimai, my dear boy, if we eat earth transformed into grains, then our body becomes nourished, it becomes strong, we become healthy. But if we just eat dirt, in its crude state, then we become diseased. And she makes a wonderful point. She said, in a water pot, which is a transformation of the earth, I can carry water very easily. But if I just pour the water onto a lump of dirt, then I can't carry that anywhere. It just turns into a puddle. And little Nimai, he was very pleased. And he smiled at his mother and he said, oh yes, you're right. And I'll eat whatever you want me to eat. So even in his very early childhood, young child, he was instructing and he was using his mother Saci to teach him the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was giving her that position that she was able to teach him. And this is just a wonderful expression of the depth of relationship between Lord Chaitanya and Saci Mata. Saci Mata was fortunate to see many incredible sights as the mother of Lord Chaitanya. Sometimes she would see, describes in Chaitanya Charitamrita, sometimes she would see the denizens of the celestial world had arrived in her home and they filled the entire house. Sometimes she would send little Nimai off to call his father or to do something in the house. And there would be a tinkling of ankle bells as he walked away. And on hearing this tinkling sound, Saci Mata and Jagannath Mishra, they were struck with wonder. And Jagannath Mishra would say, this is so wonderful. Why is there a sound of ankle bells? Our child has bare feet. Why can we hear ankle bells? And Saci Mata would speak another wonder, and she would describe how that people were coming from the celestial kingdom and crowding into their entire courtyard and offering prayers in language that she couldn't understand. And Jagannath Mishra, in this Vatsalya Prem, what would he say? He would say, never mind what it is. There's no need to worry about this. Let there always be good fortune for Vishvambara. That's all I want. There's another pastime where Lord Chaitanya's very small, also baby Nimai, would step throughout the house, and sometimes they would see footprints with Lord Krishna's markings through the house. But when Jagannath Mishra and Saci Mata would see those footprints, what was their conclusion? It was that their household Shalagram Shila, Bal Gopal, must have been having some pastime in the house. They couldn't understand, they couldn't see that their son, Nimai, was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Later in the pastimes, Saci Devi, yes, she sees Lord Chaitanya in that way, but always covered, not completely covered, but always, always with this Vatsalya Prem still there. Her understanding that Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead later in his pastimes does not impede her Vatsalya Prem. She never goes towards awe and reverence, even when she understands his position. So that's another very wonderful feature of Saci Mata, actually. Awe and reverence, it never comes into her relationship with Lord Chaitanya. Saci Mata also got the vision that Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda were none other than Krishna and Balaram. Srila Prabhupada describes in a purport that one night Saci Devi had a dream that the deities in her home, the deities of Krishna and Balaram, had taken the forms of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, and they were fighting with one another to eat the offering that she had made. And then on the next day, by the will of Lord Chaitanya, Saci Devi actually invited Lord Nityananda there for lunch. So when Saci Devi was serving both Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya, she actually saw them as Krishna and Balaram, and then she fainted in ecstasy on the floor. She had so many wonderful visions, so many deep realizations. Share one more short one. This one is very sweet. This is from Chaitanya Bhagavat. It describes how Lord Chaitanya, whenever he saw the full moon rise, Lord Chaitanya felt the mood of Lord Krishna enter into his heart. Lord Chaitanya manifested the wonderful sound of his flute. Only Mother Saci and no one else could hear that flute music. Hearing that flute music, which charms the three worlds, Mother Saci at once fainted, plunged in ecstasy. In a moment, she regained her consciousness and she steadied her mind and listened carefully to where it was coming from. And she thought that the beautiful flute music was coming from where Lord Chaitanya was. Listening to the wonderful music, Mother Saci gazed at her son, who was sitting in the temple room. Suddenly, she no longer heard the music. She saw the moon and the sky on her son's chest. Astonished to see this, Mother Saci looked in all the four directions. Mother Saci was very fortunate. There were no ends to the wondrous things that she saw in the company of Lord Chaitanya. I wanted to try and go a little deeper into two pastimes of Lord Chaitanya with Mother Saci when he was a little older. There are, as I said, there are unlimited pastimes between the Lord and his devotees. It's something that cannot be, it just cannot be explained how deep these relationships are between the Lord and his devotees and how their association and their pastimes are actually endless. Now, what I wanted to look at is another very instructive pastime of Lord Chaitanya with Sachimata, and a very remarkable pastime of Lord Chaitanya, because it is one of those very rare times when he displayed himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and allowed his devotees to worship him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, usually Lord Chaitanya, he would not allow anyone to address him as the Lord. And he did not allow people to worship him. He didn't allow the devotees to worship him as if he were the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He would always direct the worship to Lord Vishnu. But on very rare occasions, he would accept the worship of the devotees and he would fully exhibit this mood of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And one of these times was the Mahaprakash Leela, this Leela of Lord Chaitanya that is supremely merciful, and he displayed himself as the Supreme Lord in very intimate ways to all of his loving devotees and associates who were there. Lord Chaitanya actually sat down on the throne of Lord Vishnu, and he allowed the devotees to worship him. They performed an Abhishek ceremony, and he fulfilled all the desires of the devotees. Devotees were coming to him and requesting benedictions for other people. They were begging him for pure devotional service. He was giving freely whatever the devotees were requesting. And this is it's a supremely merciful pastime of Lord Chaitanya. And in this very merciful pastime of Lord Chaitanya, he teaches a very, very important lesson, and he uses his mother Saci to illustrate that lesson. Now, when the devotees were all going forward to Lord Chaitanya and begging all different kinds of benedictions, and he is freely giving everything, so many devotees, they weren't asking for things for themselves. They were asking for benedictions for others. This is the nature of a devotee, yes. We beg Krishna for the upliftment of others. Devotees are not selfish. So one of the very intimate devotees of Lord Chaitanya, Srivas Thakur, he approached the Lord, and Srivas Thakur requested the Lord to please give to your mother the gift of ecstatic love for Lord Krishna. Everybody wants you to give her that gift. Lord Chaitanya, he replied to Srivas, he said, Srivas, I will not give it. To her, I will not give the pastimes of ecstatic love for Lord Krishna. The devotees were shocked. The devotees were absolutely shocked. Lord Chaitanya said, she has offended a Vaishnava, therefore she cannot have ecstatic love for Lord Krishna. Srivas Thakur, he begins to petition the Lord, and he says, Lord, these words will make all of us leave our bodies. You are her son. You entered her womb. Why is she not qualified to attain ecstatic love for Krishna? Your mother is everyone's life. She is the mother of all the worlds. Lord, please give up your tricks and illusions and give her ecstatic love for Lord Krishna. You are her son, and therefore she is also the mother of all of us. How can a mother offend a son? That is my opinion. And Srivas Thakur begs the Lord, if she has offended a Vaishnava, then please be kind and break that offense into pieces. And what is Lord Chaitanya's response? Very instructive. He says, I have the power to teach her, but I have no power to break apart her offense to a Vaishnava. Only the offended Vaishnava can forgive the offense. Only then is the offense destroyed. There is no other way. And Lord Chaitanya here, he brings in the example of Durvasa Muni and Ambarish Maharaj, which we know from the Srimad Bhagavatam. He says that only by Maharaj Ambarish's forgiveness was Durvasa Muni's offense removed. We know that pastime, that Durvasa Muni took offense at Maharaj Ambarish's behavior. Although Maharaj Ambarish was faultless, he created that demon and wanted to kill Ambarish Maharaj. And Ambarish Maharaj, he never retaliated, but the Lord sent his Sudarshan Chakra, and it followed Durvasa Muni all over the universe. And Durvasa Muni ran everywhere trying to get away from the chakra. He tried to take shelter of Lord Shiva, tried to take shelter of Lord Brahma. He went to Lord Vishnu. And what did Lord Vishnu say? I can't save you. I can't help you. And this is where Lord Vishnu speaks this very famous verse when he says that the devotees are in my heart. I know no one but my devotees, and they know no one but me. This is Krishna. No one is more dear to Krishna than the devotees, and an offense to the devotee is so serious that the Lord cannot forgive it. The Lord will not forgive it. Only that devotee who has been offended is able to forgive that offense. This is a very, very deep lesson. And this is a lesson that Lord Chaitanya taught in his pastimes through his own mother, Saci Devi. And so what was Mother Sachi's offense? It's intricate. It's very intricate, actually, this pastime. What was Mother Sachi's offense? And who did she offend? Lord Chaitanya told the devotees, she has offended Nara. She has offended Advaita. And only when she takes the dust of Advaita's lotus feet and places it on her head will she then attain love for Krishna. So after hearing this, all the devotees, they ran to Advaita Acharya and they explained to Advaita Acharya, look, Lord Chaitanya says that Mother Saci has committed this offense and she has to take the dust of your feet onto her head. Advaita Acharya, he heard this and he meditated on Lord Vishnu and he said to the devotees, you all want to take away my life. She is my mother. I am her son. Through Mother Sachi's womb, Lord Chaitanya has appeared. It is I who should take the dust of Sachi Mata's feet. I do not understand even a sesame seed's worth of her glory and her power. Mother Sachi is the personification of devotional service. She's the mother of all the worlds. How can you talk the way you have done? Advaita Acharya was shocked. He was shocked that someone would suggest that Mother Sachi should take the dust of his feet and put it on her head. And he continues to glorify Mother Sachi. And he speaks, Mother Sachi is Goddess Ganga. They're not different. Mother Sachi is Devaki. She is Yashoda. That is the nature of Mother Sachi. And speaking all these glories of Mother Sachi, Advaita Acharya falls onto the ground in an ecstatic trance. Seeing this happen, Mother Sachi, who was hiding nearby, ran out and touched Advaita Acharya's feet and put the dust on her head in order to be freed from her offense to him. But Mother Sachi, she's such a great Vaishnavi that when she touched the feet of Advaita Acharya, she touched his feet, she became overwhelmed with the glories and the power of Advaita Acharya, and she fell to the ground also in an ecstatic trance. So we have the two of them laying on the floor in ecstasy because of the other one's glory and power. This is Vaishnav. This is Vaishnav relationship. Always feeling the quality of others to be more than their own, and always seeing the service of others as better than mine, and always seeing that our position is just to humbly touch the feet of the Vaishnavas, and in ecstasy glorify the Vaishnavas, glorify each other. So they were both overwhelmed. They're in an ecstatic trance, and all the other devotees around just start chanting, Hari, 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 Jai. And Lord Chaitanya, he was very pleased. He smiled and laughed, and he said to his mother, now your offense is omitted, your offense is finished, and I give you ecstatic love for Krishna. And Vrindavan Das Thakur, he makes the point here in Chaitanya Bhagavat that by making an example of Mother Sachi, the Supreme Lord, who is the teacher of everyone, taught everyone to carefully avoid offending the Vaishnavas. So what was that offense? Vrindavan Das Thakur, he goes into it and he explains that actually it wasn't really an offense, but Lord Chaitanya took it in that way. So this is how careful we need to be in our relationships among the devotees, because even if something may superficially not seem to be so offensive, if the Lord takes it as offensive toward his devotees, then we bear the reaction for that. And the reaction for offending a devotee is, as Lord Chaitanya describes elsewhere in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's like the mad elephant that just gets into our creeper of devotion and rips it to shreds. So how careful we need to be in our dealings with devotees. Now, Mother Sachi, as we're discussing, she's not an ordinary personality. She is the mother of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Baladev, his expansion as Sankishan, and then the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Chaitanya. So after Lord Chaitanya, actually after Vishvarup appeared, Mother Sachi and Jagannath Mishra, they were very happy. And Vishvarup, he was an extraordinary personality. And he was, from his early childhood, he was renounced. He was very learned. He was very devoted. He was a wonderful personality. And as he grew, he began to spend more and more of his time with the devotees. Particularly, he would spend time with Advaita Acharya. Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi, they could see that Vishvarup, he's becoming very, very renounced, and they were concerned. And so they decided to start arranging for his marriage in order that he would get married and stay around the home and family. But when Vishvarup heard this news that they were going to arrange for his marriage, Vishvarup took sannyas. He left. He left and he never came back. They never heard anything about him again. And Mother Saci and Jagannath Mishra, they were devastated. They had lost their effulgent son. They were so devastated. In Chaitanya Charitamrita and also in Chaitanya Bhagavat describes their emotions upon Vishvarup's leaving. It's heartbreaking. The only solace for their heart was Lord Chaitanya, was Nimai. And Nimai reassured them that I will stay with you and I will serve you. Now, after some time after Vishvarup had taken sannyas and left, Lord Chaitanya, Nimai, he was still very young. So Nimai had a dream, and he recounted that dream to his parents the next day. And he told his mother and father, last night I had a dream, and in my dream I saw my brother, Vishvarup. And he came to me and he held the danda. He held a sannyas danda. And he asked me to come with him. And I told him that I can't leave my parents. I will stay and I will serve my parents. And Vishvarup, before he left in Nimai's dream, he said, offer thousands and thousands of obeisances to my mother Saci. But Jagannath Mishra was very perturbed by that dream. He was very disturbed about it. And even though Nimai was still there and he was reassuring his father, I'm not going anywhere, I'm staying here with you, still the thought of Nimai taking sannyas, it couldn't leave Jagannath Mishra's heart. And Jagannath Mishra became very ill and he left this world. So all Saci Devi had left was Nimai. That was all. She had lost Vishvarup, she had lost her 8 daughters, she had lost Vishvarup, she had lost her husband, and now everything was for Nimai. And as Nimai grew, as we know in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, he also became such a scholar. And he also, after his initiation, he became very devotional. And he was spending all of his time around the devotees. And again, he was spending so much time with Advaita Acharya. Now, because he was spending so much time with Advaita, Mother Saci became very concerned. And she spoke in an unhappy way. She could see that her son was no longer interested in being at home. Mother Saci thought, Advaita will take my son away. Unhappy, she told everyone, who says he is Advaita? That Vaishnava is Dvaita, full of duplicity. He has already driven away one moon-like son. Now he will not leave my other son alone. I am a helpless widow. No one is kind to me. To the world, he is Advaita, but to me, he is Dvaita Maya, full of duplicity. And that was her offense. That was all her offense. There was nothing else. But because of that offense, Lord Chaitanya would not give his mother pure devotional service. And Vrindavan Das Thakur, he says, this is an interesting point. He says that a person who calls one Vaishnava a big Vaishnava and another Vaishnava a little Vaishnava may be peaceful and happy for now, but for how long will he remain peaceful and happy? So we may, we may say something seemingly not so bad, or we may harbor some feelings seemingly not so bad within the heart towards another Vaishnava, but the Lord sees those things in a serious light. We cannot offend Vaishnavas. We should always see the company of the devotee as the most precious gift, as the most rare gift in this world, and always act and try and think in such a way that we're always glorifying the devotees, that we are not finding fault, that we are not causing offense. And in that way, we are protected. And in this pastime, Lord Chaitanya, he brings it home very strongly. Not even his mother, it's such a small thing as speaking harshly about Advaita. But Lord Chaitanya, he saw it in a very serious light. So we can take that instruction of Lord Chaitanya very seriously in our heart and always act in such a respectful manner with the devotees of the Lord. Lord Chaitanya taught us everything about how to perform devotional service, and he teaches us these very important and intricate points in very strong lessons, even using his own mother Yashoda, Kaushalya, these mothers. They're all Mother Saci. Mother Saci is the same. So it's a very strong lesson. So the final part that I wanted to look at is Mother Saci's expressions of separation from the Lord and her ecstasy in again meeting the Lord. So as Lord Chaitanya grew, as we know, so many things happened, and he made the decision to take sannyas. Now, when all the devotees heard of his decision to take sannyas, everyone is devastated. Everyone is heartbroken. Mother Saci hears the news that he will take sannyas, and she approaches him. And it describes here in Chaitanya Bhagavat that hearing this news, Mother Saci almost could not remain alive. She felt a pain beyond all words. And she approached her son, and she's crying and weeping and offering prayers to him. And she's begging him, she's saying, please, all your associates are here, all your close friends are here, just stay at home and perform Sankirtan here. How can I survive without you? I gaze at your eyes and your arms, your words and nectar. How can I live without you? And Lord Chaitanya, he sat at her feet and he listened to her outpouring of devotion. And Mother Saci, she had turned white and her body was emaciated. She was just skin and bone. She was in so much anxiety that Lord Chaitanya would leave. She was in such anxiety that Lord Chaitanya, he sat with her and he begged her, please be peaceful at heart. And he revealed to her her true glories, her position. So he spoke to her and he explained to her that you are all these mothers. Carefully hear your own glories. There was a time when you were Aditi. There was a time when you were Devahuti. There was a time when you were Kaushalya. There was a time when you were Devaki. And Lord Chaitanya is just telling her these truths about herself, her own glories. And he says to her this very wonderful verse. He describes, you are the earth goddess, and therefore you are the mother of my deity form. You are also the tongues of everyone, and therefore you are the mother of my form as the holy name. I've really been meditating on that part, that sentence, that Mother Saci is the mother of the holy name. She's the mother of Lord Chaitanya's form as the holy name. How, yeah, it's amazing. So after hearing Lord Chaitanya speak these truths to her, Mother Saci became a little bit more peaceful at heart. But still, after Lord Chaitanya's leaving, after his taking sannyas, she just lived her days in separation from him. And as we know, she requested the Lord to stay at Jagannath Puri so that she could hear news of him from time to time. And there came a time when Lord Chaitanya ended up at the house of Advaita Acharya. And this is part of the section that I read right in the beginning. And this meeting of Saci Mata and Lord Chaitanya at Advaita Acharya's home is full, we can see this full expression of Mother Saci's Vatsalya Prem, of her pure devotion for her son, for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So after Lord Chaitanya had arrived at Advaita Acharya's house, he spent some time with Advaita Acharya. And then Advaita Acharya, when he became a little bit more peaceful, because he was just in ecstasy again to see the Lord, he sent a messenger to Mother Saci to bring Mother Saci. So when the messenger arrived at Mother Sachi's home in Navadvip and told her the message, she was plunged into this ocean of ecstatic love. I'll read a few verses describing her mood of ecstasy. What did she say? What did she hear? When she saw anyone before her, she would say, please tell me the news from Mathura. How are Krishna and Balaram in Mathura? What is that sinner Kamsa doing now? What is the news of Akrura, that thief who stole my Krishna and Balaram? Please tell me. Sometimes Mother Sachi would call out, Krishna, Balaram, quickly, milk the cows. I will go to sell the milk. Sometimes Mother Sachi would grab a stick and say, grab him, everyone, the butter thief flees. Where will you run to now? I will tie you up. Speaking these words, Mother Sachi, wrapped in ecstasy, would run here and there. Sometimes she would loudly weep. Hearing her weeping, any heart would melt. An unbroken stream of tears flowed from her eyes. Hearing her emotional lament, even stones and dry sticks would split apart. Sometimes Lord Krishna would appear in her meditation. Forgetting who she was, she would laugh very loudly. This laughter was very blissful and wonderful. Even after 6 hours, it did not end. Sometimes Mother Sachi would faint in ecstasy. Sometimes she trembled. Again and again, someone picked her up, and again she fell down to the ground. Who has ecstatic love for Lord Krishna like Mother Sachi? No one is like her. Devotion to Krishna resides in Lord Krishna's transcendental body. It was Lord Krishna himself who gave the power of devotion to Mother Sachi. So again and again, Vrindavan Das Thakur is explaining this ecstatic state of Mother Sachi, that whenever she was slightly in external consciousness, she would then worship her deity. She was never unengaged in the Lord's service. She was either in this ecstatic state or she was serving her deity. She was always completely absorbed in love for Krishna. So when Mother Sachi got the news that Lord Chaitanya was at Advaita Acharya's house in Shantipur, Gangadas Pandit quickly took her there. And this is the section that I read at the beginning. When Lord Chaitanya saw his mother, he just offered hundreds and hundreds of obeisances while circumambulating her. So if we can just imagine this scene, Lord Chaitanya, this impeccable sannyasi, sees his mother and is just offering obeisances and obeisances and obeisances, circumambulating her, offering prayers, offering such beautiful, beautiful prayers to her, saying to her, you are Ganga, you are Devaki, you are Yashoda, you are pure devotion personified. Who has the power to describe you? Your home is in the hearts of all. And simply by seeing Lord Chaitanya, Mother Sachi was stunned in bliss. The Lord said to her, Lord Chaitanya said to her, whatever little devotion to Lord Krishna I possess has come only from your mercy. And what a statement. Yes. Lord Chaitanya, the treasure house, the storehouse of love for Krishna, says that whatever devotion he has only comes from his mother, from her mercy. Lord Chaitanya said, anyone who once remembers you is no longer bound in this world of birth and death. By touching you, Ganga and Tulsi have become fortunate and glorious. That is why they now can purify everything. And in this, again, in this mirror mood of Lord Krishna, when he expresses his indebtedness towards the gopis, Lord Chaitanya expresses that he can never repay Mother Sachi for her service. Mother Sachi, she was completely blissful, and all she said in reply to his words was, whatever you say, whatever you do is good. And whatever you want, I will do. And Mother Saci, hearing Mother Saci speak like this so simply and so devotedly, all the devotees around just started chanting, Jai, Jai, Hari, Hari. And the devotees started to say, now Mother Saci will cook for Lord Chaitanya. And as we know, this is again such a wonderful pastime of reciprocal love between Mother Saci and Lord Chaitanya. And in great happiness, Mother Saci went to cook. I'll finish with this, how she served Lord Chaitanya. So it describes here in Chaitanya Bhagavat, how many different kinds of food did Mother Saci prepare? I do not even know the names of the different foods that she cooked. Mother Saci knew that the Lord liked shak, so she cooked 20 different preparations made of shak. With a happy heart, Mother Saci prepared each kind of food in 10 or 20 different ways. When the cooking was completed, she brought all the food to the dining room. Over the rice, vegetables, and other foods, she placed tulsi manjaris. She placed the rice, vegetables, and other foods in the 4 directions, and in the middle, she placed a comfortable seat. So again, just imagine this. Lord Chaitanya sits in the middle, and all the food is surrounding him. Seeing the nice arrangements of rice, vegetables, and the other foods, Lord Chaitanya at once offered his Dandavat obeisances. The Lord said, even without eating, simply by seeing this food, one becomes free from the bondage of birth and death. How beautiful is this food! Words cannot properly praise it. Simply by smelling the fragrance of this food, one attains pure devotion to Lord Krishna. I know that Lord Krishna and his associates have certainly accepted this food. After speaking these words, the Lord circumambulated the food. Then Lord Chaitanya sat down to eat. With the Lord's permission, in the 4 directions, the devotees sat to watch him eat. Then the king of Vaikuntha ate. Filling her eyes, fortunate and glorious Mother Saci gazed at him. So I'll end on that pastime. Beautiful pastime, very vivid. We can just see it. We can see it happening. And that is our great fortune. This is our great fortune that through the Shastra, we get to see how the Lord reciprocates with the love of his devotees. We get to see the character of the Lord's eternal devotees. We get to see their devotion. We get a glimpse into their heart, and we can humbly try to follow in the footsteps of their devoted servants up through the parampara. This is our lineage coming through Lord Chaitanya, the devotion of Lord Chaitanya's associates. It's there in our parampara. And when we're following along in the footsteps of our acharyas, then we have a chance to taste just a glimpse, just a drop of the devotion of these wonderful associates of the Lord, such as Mother Saci. And even that drop, just one drop, is enough to satisfy us for lifetimes. So thank you very much for this opportunity to try to speak something of the glories of the Lord's devotees. I always find it to be so purifying and so enlivening, and I hope that a little bit of that came across. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Achyuta Bhava Mataji ki jai. But it's such a wonderful narration. You immerse us in the glorification of Mother Saci. How the 1 hour passed, we cannot realize. It was so intimate and so moving. Thank you very much. Anybody has got any question or queries? We still got some time. Devotees, please come forward. I can get the ball rolling. Mataji, one of the things that really amazed me is that after having lost Vishwarupa, and then Lord Chaitanya also left. So the Shastra says one should be serving the parents. So what sort of, how can you explain this mood of Lord Chaitanya going away? Although he was nearby and his mother came to see him, but this is like, seemed to be contrary to Dharma.
Yes. Yeah, it's a very interesting pastime of the Lord. As we know, when Lord Chaitanya was in his scholarly pastimes as Nimai Pandit, there was a certain level of disrespect shown by some of his students. And Lord Chaitanya, upon observing that disrespect, he knew that that would harm them. Yes, that if people approach the Lord and treat the Lord in a disrespectful way, it actually harms the person who is treating them like that. So that was the impetus for Lord Chaitanya to accept the sannyas order, because persons, especially in that day and age, they would automatically offer their respects to a sannyasi. So in order to benedict the people, actually, so that they would offer him respect and not disrespect him, not treat him in a disrespectful way, then Lord Chaitanya entered into this other pastime of sannyas. And as we heard, Mother Saci was completely heartbroken. However, her devotion to the Lord sustained her. And even though she was living in such a mood of separation, that separation was the highest form of ecstasy. So everything was perfectly arranged in the Lord's pastimes, but it does, just like Krishna in Vrindavan, Krishna left the Rajvasis. How could he do that? He plunged them into an ocean of grief and separation, but that separation gives rise to the highest expression of love of God. So even though it may look a little contradictory that Lord Chaitanya left his most dear mother, he fulfilled a lot of purposes by doing that. So here comes my daughter. It's getting late. You want to say hello? There we go.
Hi, Saci. Hello. How are you?
She's missing seeing all the devotees.
Okay.
Hi, Saci. How are you? I miss you too.
Oh,
I miss the temple and I miss you too.
yes.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, this mood of separation has been very strong for everybody, hasn't it, over these past
True.
months?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mataji, for a wonderful explanation. Yes, it seems to be the Lord has some higher purpose to preach, and that he took that step, although it was very devastating to Mata Saci. But there, as you mentioned, she was happy in separation. Such a wonderful pastime. Anybody else has got any question, queries, or additions? Please come forward. Okay, no one. So I'll request Mr. Babu to make some announcement, and then we'll have our good friend Anadi Mohan Prabhu will move a word of thanks. Mr. Babu, you go ahead to make announcement.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So as we know that from tonight, 11:59 p.m. onwards, we are moving into the red light system. And what does that mean for us as a ISKCON devotees or ISKCON temple? So what we are doing is at the temple, we will be allowing for darshan, and the darshan will be only on Saturdays and Sundays. Timing will be from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. That's again Saturday and Sunday only. Darshan that will be opening for everyone to come and take darshan. Upon arrival, you will be asked to show your vaccine pass. So basically, unfortunately, it's only those who are vaccine, simple words, they're being allowed to take darshan. So that's where we are at the moment. There will be no Sunday feast program. there will be no other days. If you're planning to go to the temple for darshan, we won't be allowing. It will be just purely Saturday and Sunday for now. And this is our just sort of testing ground. And as we go further, we'll see if things fall in our way, then we may release more relaxation. But for now, this is what it is. Saturday, Sunday, again, timing from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. and then from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. That's Saturday and Sunday. Number at the temple will be allowed as 100. So that's what we are at the moment. Yeah. And then no prasadam will be served. However, we are thinking to do something in terms of maybe a halwa or maybe sweet balls or whatever to be distributed from the front desk. And always when you're coming to the temple, have your mask on, have your pass ready to show and scan, things like that. And within the temple, there will be requesting to have a meter distance between, as exactly it's the outline by the government, that we are just implementing that. So we'll appreciate everyone's cooperation. And if you come to know anyone, please inform them. We will be sending out the email. We will be sending out the message on WhatsApp after this. So yeah, any questions, you're most welcome to ask. Or any clarification on this.
Thank you, Krishna Prabhu. Thank you very much for this information, very important information. Now I'll request His Grace Anadi Mohan Prabhu to move a word of thanks. Prabhuji, all yours.
Hare Krishna Madhaji, please accept my humble obeisances. And thank you very much for your fascinating narration of Lord Chaitanya and Mother Sachi's supreme character. It is always great pleasure to hear your spiritual lectures due to your eloquence. When you were sharing childhood pastime of Lord and Mother Sachi, and you also mentioned that Mother Sachi never considered Lord as a supreme personality of Godhead. And at another time, when Mother Sachi was serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityanand Prabhu, she saw their actual forms, she got fainted. I was just realizing that Mother Yashoda more or less had reacted in the similar way. When Lord showed universal form, and also at certain time, Mother Yashoda did not consider Krishna as supreme personality of Godhead. So there seems to be quite similarities in the past times. And also on the final part of your lecture, in relation to separation, I realized that all the mothers of the Lord in the known past times, in the known incarnations, they all had served Lord in the mood of separation. And and they suffered also. Be it Mother Kaushalya, be it Mother Devki, be it Mother Yashoda, and also Mother Sachi. Anyway, thank you very much for your kindly coming here. And on behalf of all the devotees present here, I convey my sincere thanks and gratitude to you to have come here, and hope to see you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Sachi. Oh, no, Sati. Oh, sorry, slip of tongue. You're talking about Sachi.
Thank you very much. Krishna Prabhu would like to make announcement tomorrow's class, or?
Yeah, sure, bro. So tomorrow's class will be given by His Grace Dinabandhu Prabhu, and he will be talking about the pastime, Braj pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna. So again, it will be starting at 7 p.m. with the Kirtan, then 7:20 reading Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita, and then 7:30 His Grace Dinabandhu Prabhu will start his class. So that's for tomorrow. And yeah, Hare Krishna. Hey Sati, we miss you.
Okay, thanks very much everyone for coming together this evening and hearing very beautiful, moving, aesthetic pastime of Mother Sachi. Such a glorification coming from a very nice devotee. Such immersed us in like 1 hour, went past like 1 minute. We could have done could like hear more and more. Anyway, time is a constraint. So nonetheless, we like to see you more often. Come and give us your association, and I'd like to thank you very much for this time. Okay, so we'll have Nashinga prayer then before we end the program. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you. So we have got Shantanu Prabhu and Sita Nandini Mataji who's going to sing Nashinga prayer tonight. Thank you, Mataji and Prabhu.
Niranyakashi Purnaksha